So I just trained with Lakhin, who's right here behind me. He is a legend of the Golden Age. He has the scariest punches. But the reason I was able to get Lakhin is because of Josh. And can you just tell me a bit about your gym and why you contacted me to bring Lakhin up, actually, in order to train?
Yep, so I came to Thailand first about 8-9 years ago, and my first stop was in Koh Yanoi to train with Lakhin. And I didn't know, I was fighting and just wanted to, come to Thailand and train and fight, and thought it was a good balance because I could bring my partner and be on a tropical island rather than in a big city. But it kept bringing me back because the training wasn't sort of passive, or hit this, yeah, doing a good job. I think I stayed that first time for 4 months, and Lakhin made me cry like 3 times because
good sign.
That attitude is like, if it's not, you're not doing it right, we're not going to let you get away with it. Like you learn so much more doing it that way, and he has that hard style where you get better so much faster.
Did you know who he was when you found him, or did you find out later?
Only really when I went there. Like, I'd seen a few videos on YouTube, and I thought, like, that's pretty amazing. Like, I'd love to be able to learn from that, but I didn't realize till I got there and started training him, and that I thought, like, actually he's really special. Like, he's a really special teacher, somebody who's got the balance of expertise and passion and ability to teach. Because I think sometimes you can get an expert in something who doesn't know how to transfer it, or a good teacher who wasn't a superstar, but they really explain things well. To have both in the one person is pretty special. So then I went back home, went back to uni, stopped fighting, and really desperately wanted to come back and do it properly one last time before so I never had regret that I never tried it. So I came over and stayed with these guys for a year in Koh Yanoi, which is amazing. It's this almost untouched island in between Phuket and Krabi that's just away from the craziness and distractions, and you just go there and train. It's been amazing. It's been so cool.
And so what made you contact me to actually bring Lakhin up for a session?
So I'd seen your sessions on when I was back home in Australia with all these legends, guys like Samson all the guys from Lakhin's era that were the same caliber fighter that he is, and I thought he just has to be up there with them. Like, he deserves to be among his peers in that for his own legacy. Because I respect what you're doing is not just a how-to, but a real, like, a documentation of a legacy of the sport. So the generation that taught fighters like Lakhin are only around for a little while longer. The generation of guys who fought with Lakhin are only going to be able to teach for a limited amount of time, and then it's gone. And especially for Lakhin, because these guys have been like our family, and really couldn't have done it without them. But also just out of respect for my teacher, that he deserves to be up there. He deserves to be recognised and to have his legacy documented.
What do you hope translates the most out of having a long form session with him in the library?
I think sometimes and I've talked to other very knowledgeable Thai trainers and fighters. I train with Lakhin, and everybody knows, and they go, "Oh, big puncher, yeah, very punch power," and it's like, I think if something translates, it's that it's not just punching power. Like Lakhin hits really fucking hard, but it's not like lots of people hit hard. It's not just somebody swinging just as hard as they can. It's setting it up. It's pressure. It's the technique of actually being a punch fighter rather than just being able to punch. It's like that's what I hope people can get out of it. They want to hopefully want to go and train with them, to think that, like, okay, anybody can hit a bag hard, but how do you hit somebody that's trying to run away from you, that knows you hit hard, that knows you want to punch them, and you still catch them? And that it was really fun watching you train with him, because I feel like I'm sharing my bully with you because I'm used to it, but somebody who's not used to it, the way that he trains and teaches you to be in that space where you absolutely shit your pants.
Yeah.
That it's not just somebody swinging at you, it's something that they make you feel, that panic. It's a real technique and an art in itself rather than just to and fro.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I find so valuable about the long form format for the Muay Thai Library, is that it's not only preserving the technique, but it's preserving the men.
Yeah.
And that you can't, if you're like, I want to punch like Lakhin, sure, like get close or whatever, but to actually feel what Lakhin feels like.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I've seen a tiger printed on paper versus I've like been locked in a room with one kind of thing. It's very different. But one of the things that people ask me all the time is like, isn't it confusing to have people teach you different techniques? And the reason it's not confusing is because it fits within the vocabulary of that fighter. So like, you're not going to get someone like, he actually reminds me quite a bit of Sagat, but he and Sagat are not the same. Like, you could be like, oh, that's the same twist on the hand or something like that. And it's like, it is, but it doesn't fit within the same vocabulary. Like, they don't use it the same way. So I think it's really cool to see, if you watch like a fight on YouTube, you see how they're fighting that opponent. But something that he kept telling me in this session is, it depends on who you're fighting. So like any question I had, it depends on who you're fighting. So it's like, what's your favorite vocabulary word? It depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
It's totally different.
It's not the same blueprint every time. You've got, like, it's not the same recipe. It depends on you, on the problem that you have to solve.
Yeah. I always really love how guys like him are so nice and so scary, and it's not like a contradiction. It kind of works together. You're like, of course it is.
It's something, because Lisa also fought and trained with Lakhin when they were together, right? So like, that's your partner and your trainer.
Yeah, I don't know how people do that.
But I've had to do the same thing this year, where I'll be in training with Lakhin, and I know that he's doing it because he cares about what happens to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's training me that way because he doesn't want me to get in and get hurt. He wants me to get in and fight well. But in the moment, it's super intense.
Yeah.
It's like, don't show fear, don't show pain, don't show fatigue. Even though you are in pain and you're fatigued, don't do this. It's super intense. And then the second training's over. I'll see you tonight. Like, he's just like the nicest guy around. But it's I think the ability to switch that on and off is just a lifetime of being in the gym training and understanding that when it's that business, that it is serious business. Yeah. And I think Lakhin especially takes that training seriously, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't just take even students who are just coming for a holiday or whatever. I don't think he's satisfied with having, like, if they leave and they still don't know how to do things, they still do the same. I don't think he's happy, you know, like even if you're just doing it for fitness, you want to do it like learn properly. He was
like barely touching me with his punches, and they're still so, like, you're like, just don't ever do that harder. That's the worst.
Sorry, go on.
Even seeing like Diesel Noy's knees now. Diesel Noy is turning 58 this year, and his like, he's hitting through the pad, and the pad holders get this look on their face that's like, fuck. I'm like, the men of his era were just so hard. Like, he was hitting people for real, and they weren't dead. Diesel Noy was hitting people for real, and they're like getting back up.
Amazing that they weren't.
The fighters now and the fighters of your generation are just not the same thing. I'm not even old enough to be like the kids these days, but I'm like, kids these days, like, so soft.
Something I always joke about with Lakhin so many times is try to explain, like, how not just the technique of how to do something, but how it should feel and make the other person feel. It's like, it's not just that you punch them, it's like the how.
Yeah.
Where you can punch like this, and he keeps doing, he'll hit me and he'll go, see, how does that feel? It doesn't feel good. And then he'll go, how does that feel?
Yeah, totally.
It's fucking horrible.
Totally.
But like the difference in almost like in intention of how to do it is, I think, super valuable that you get from legends like that.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the best reasons for him to be called Mike Tyson of Thailand, is that Mike Tyson was so scary that he was winning fights before he even got in the ring. It's something that when you're watching on TV or you're like generations apart, you're like, oh yeah, he punches hard, like he's pretty scary or something, but you don't know that actual fear. And when you can like stand in it or feel it, or like the way that you didn't used to have YouTube, or you had to watch his fight on TV, you had to like wake up and watch his fight on TV, or like catch the highlight 2 days later or something, is that the legend of these men was so deserved, and it's just kind of being rippled now down to like, oh yeah, that person this way, and you can still see it, like it's still palpable in the way that you see these men training now. Like, it actually hasn't faded, and they're not young men anymore, and they're still just like, I'm okay. It's really scary. Yeah, it's incredible.
That work ethic where, like, I feel like I couldn't, when I'm training, I couldn't possibly do more. Mm-hmm. And Lakhin will be like, yeah, that's good. You did 200. I used to do 1,000. You know, like okay, a long way to go. Yeah. But also like the way that somebody makes you feel is that, like, I've trained with like female style trainers and fighters, and they make you frustrated and not confident, and so you question yourself and you lose yourself. And then there's fighters that make you feel exhausted, so that you're scared because you're tired. And there's guys like Lakhin that even if you're fresh, they just steal your confidence because they just make you afraid. You know, they're every time you think you have a break, they're there. Every time you've gotten away, they're there. That I think is like you were saying, what people should take away is like, learn how to do that.
You think you're a strong swimmer because you've been in a lap pool, and then you're in the middle of the ocean and you don't get to stop, and you're like, not sure I'm that good of a swimmer anymore. It's totally different. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to train with Lakhin. That was incredible for me.
No, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm so glad we were able to do it and meet up with you guys, because it deserves to be in there. So.
And so, what's the name of the gym if people want to go train with him?
KYN Muay Thai.
KYN Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we will have links to that in the description.
You're also welcome to come over anytime you want. If you want a holiday, just drop us an email.
Totally into it. Thank you.
Beautiful island and a beautiful spot as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks, guys.